Alexander went to visit Chris at his home. He had his own UFO encounters.
Colonel John Alexander investigated UFOs for the US government. He knows Chris quite well, has visited his property, and on one occasion actually witnessed Chris pointing and saying, "It's going to come from this direction." Bang, there it was.
Look, wow.
Yeah, I see it.
So he knew that this UFO was going to show up. Again, it's indicative of there being a connection between the UFOs and the abductees themselves.
There's no about here. They're embarking.
It's not just maybe that these people are passive victims. They are participants, active participants in an extraterrestrial agenda.
Is it right?
In 2012, 5 years after his first sighting, Bledsoe claims he had another encounter, and this one had an even more profound effect on him.
Chris is outside one evening, and all of a sudden, right in front of him, this portal opens. And out of this portal appears this beautiful lady as she's hovering up off the ground.
He refers to her as the lady. She's wearing a glorious garment of light.
She says to Chris, "You know why I'm here. You're to tell your story. And if you tell your story, I'll be here with you. I'll guide you. I'll help you."
Because of his encounter with the being he calls the Lady, Bledsoe believes, like many other repeat UFO experiencers, that he has been chosen for a special purpose.
Chris Bledsoe starts to view this through a religious lens. He's thinking suddenly that he's a prophet, he's a chosen one, he's somehow connected with a revelation or a disclosure that's about to happen on Earth, and he connects the UFO experience with God.
There are different models of the abduction experience, and one of them basically says it is religious. That's a classic motif or pattern that we see in the history of very extreme religious experience. And today, of course, it's not framed in religious terms, it's framed in science fiction terms or astrophysical terms, but I think these experiences have a consistency to them, and I think human beings have been interacting with these entities for a long, long time.
In ancient times, we hear the same stories. For example, Enoch very specifically says that the reason why he was chosen is because the so-called guardians of the sky, the angels, imparted certain knowledge to him. In every ancient culture, all origin stories tell us someone was chosen to relay important knowledge, important information to the rest of the world. Could it be that the numerous otherworldly apparitions recorded in religious texts around the world are first-hand accounts of encounters with extraterrestrial beings? As far as Chris Bledsoe is concerned, his encounters with glowing orbs and angelic beings are of both an extraterrestrial and spiritual nature. In January 2023, he published a book about his ongoing experiences called UFO of God.
He believes that God is inextricably linked with this whole extraterrestrial visitation. In all of this, we have to remind ourselves that these are just labels we're putting on something that's interacting with humanity, but these are our words, our labels. The reality may be quite different.
Is it possible that Chris Bledsoe has been chosen to be a messenger? Could he be carrying out an agenda to enlighten humankind about an otherworldly presence? Perhaps further clues can be found by examining incredible claims that have been made about a galactic federation.
the iridescent lamp. I get up out of bed and I hit the little switch controlling the lamp in the room, and I got no more than 2 or 3 feet when all of a sudden I no longer felt my feet against the carpet floor. And the next thing I know, I feel like I'm rising. It was only momentarily, I felt like I'm rising. I found myself in this room full of very, very strange creatures.
Croft has written all about his abduction in his 1998 book, The Contact Has Begun. Croft had a lot of credibility. He was a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. He'd been writing for the LA Times for over 25 years, and people knew him, respected him. Most of his friends had known him as, something of a skeptic, apparently.
According to Philip Croft, the mysterious beings he encountered have a specific agenda for our planet.
Turned out I was there, and the persons who had been recruited to perform a particular task.
They told him that they had been monitoring us for thousands of years. Their mission was to lead an intergalactic federation of planets who were finding other planets that had intelligent life and to monitor them and only permit them to join the Federation when they had matured to a certain level, and that they had ambassadors on our planet who had important positions, who could speak to other people on the planet about their presence.
Philip Croft was selected because he's a writer, and he's able to communicate their message.
In 2001, 3 years after the publication of The Contact Has Begun, Croft published a second book called The Challenge of Contact, in which he detailed 2 more extraterrestrial encounters.
One thing Croft recalled about all this was that the extraterrestrials seemed to know him very well already. He didn't need to tell them anything about him. Perhaps they'd always known. And that's fascinating because, again, this is a theme that comes up multiple times with different people's accounts. The idea of the aliens as watchers, that they're watching humanity, but also they're selecting, they're choosing certain individuals.
In Croft's experience, he didn't have just one encounter, he had multiple encounters. And this affirmed to him that he was indeed chosen for this mission, and that he ultimately will be a spokesperson or messenger for this federation.
Could Philip Croft's extraordinary statements about a galactic federation be true? While it might seem far-fetched, other notable figures have come forward with similar claims. In 2013, former Canadian Minister of National Defense Paul Hellyer declared that the United States government and other governments around the world are working with an organized federation of extraterrestrials.
Paul Hellyer was a really senior political leadership figure, and he essentially came out and said extraterrestrials are real, they are visiting Earth, and that Earth was on the point of being accepted into the Galactic Federation.
Paul Hellyer is not the only government official to come forward with alleged knowledge of a federation of extraterrestrial races.
In 2020, former head of the Israeli space program, Chaim Eshed, came out with a very remarkable statement on UFOs and aliens, basically stating the aliens are real, that governments around the world know about it, and that there is this entity known as the Galactic Federation.
Chaim Eshed talked about a federation, talked about how planet Earth was being readied to join this federation, and there's open contact. This is a theme, again, comes up quite frequently.
Should the claims of people like Philip Croft, Paul Hellyer, and Chaim Eshed be believed? Have certain people been chosen to prepare humanity to join a galactic federation? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. And they suggest there is evidence of an alien agenda that is not only about disseminating information, but also directing the evolution of humankind. In the alien abduction phenomenon, many people have reported experiencing telepathic communication subjects of alien experimentation.
Most experiencers are left with some physical markings. It's either puncture wounds, it could be patterned marks that are burned into their flesh. We don't know why. Experiencers for years have reported that ova, that sperm has been extracted from their bodies. Some humans, when they have been examined by an extraterrestrial biological entity, and they see them clearly, and what is happening to them, they are harvesting sperm and eggs from humans in many of the abductions.
If reports of experimentation on abductees are true, why might this be happening? According to some researchers, it is just one part of a larger alien agenda on humankind.
The extraterrestrials usually are performing some sort of examination, and it has something to do with genetics. Perhaps they are trying to upgrade the human genome to the higher level of awareness, to be able not just to evolve and thrive, but also take care of the planet.
If extraterrestrials are abducting people to carry out some agenda for humanity, could it also involve a genetic upgrade? Some researchers suggest further evidence of genetic manipulation of the human race can be found by examining children who display astonishing abilities, sometimes referred to as the Star Children.
An offshoot of the abduction phenomena is the belief that there are hybrid offspring that have resulted from these abductions. These children have special abilities, psychic abilities, healing abilities, knowledge, and understanding way beyond their years. There is this concept of so-called star children, and it's usually kids until the age of about 12, 14, and they are highly gifted. For example, they have telepathic abilities, ESP abilities, and certain other things that are abnormal to what regular human beings are capable of. And so, what's going on? The idea of so-called star children has been part of Native American traditions for centuries. But in 1980, it became an international story when the Chinese government launched a nationwide search for children with psychic abilities, such as telekinesis, telepathy, and clairvoyance. In total, Chinese officials identified more than 2,000 children who possessed what researchers refer to as exceptional human function.
I've interviewed so many star children who would tell me stories and describe in such great detail how the universe works, how minds are some really profound information that the average 5-year-old and 6-year-old wouldn't have. So you have this genetic code in certain upgraded humans that will allow this more extraterrestrial lineage and call it development.
Is it possible messages to humanity, but upgrade our DNA? The fact that we have these stories of star children leads me to think
happen, or why the extraterrestrials are humans.
Look at the star people have an agenda, which they do. Their agenda is, we've colonized you, we want you to survive. Why? Just because we like you? No! You're us! We're the star people, you're the star children, we want you to survive. And maybe inhabit other planets and different systems.
Could these star children, like repeat experiencers, be evidence that extraterrestrials have chosen certain individuals to usher in a new era of humankind? And if so, are we on the verge of first contact? Washington, D.C., October 2023. The Alderman Anomaly Resolution Office at the Pentagon announces that it has received over 800 reports of unidentified objects from military personnel, up from just 144 in 2021. The office states that it is receiving more new cases at a staggering rate, and UFO researchers say reports of anomalous activity are on the rise among civilians as well, including claims of alien abduction. Today, we have so many people saying that they're being abducted and experimented with or tested or so on by someone from not here, and we sit or say that they're crazy and not even think about it. From a scientific perspective, the phenomenon is something that absolutely has to be studied. Not just like how if we're double believing that aliens come down and abducting people to experiment on them. That's really beside the point. There are plenty of people who do believe it's happening. And so we have to take that serious enough to study and understand why they perceive this, why this is happening to them.
The contact has increased and the messaging has increased. What may be seen this increase in UFO contact, in UFO selection, in these messages? Why?
You ask, well, what's the big picture? And of course, there are lots of different theories doing the rounds. Breeding program, testing program, people who are chosen. But if any of this is real, it's a large-scale, long-term program whereby an extraterrestrial race is interacting with humanity, perhaps to help us into a new age. And of course there, what I'm talking about is first contact. Something much more up close and personal. Interaction between extraterrestrials and humanity.
I think the big agenda is about humanity. It's about humanity being taken into the stars, and all of these abductees are harbingers, ultimately, of the future where the human race will end up.
Are alien visitors choosing certain people to help prepare humanity for the day when we will be introduced to other intelligent beings in the cosmos? According to ancient astronaut theorists, the answer is a resounding yes. From the perspective of the ancient astronaut theory, our human genome at some point in our distant past has been changed artificially by extraterrestrials. So if they did this thousands upon thousands of years ago, then why would they not continue this in modern times? And so is it possible that these abductions may be part of this giant project that's been going on since times immemorial?
Whatever is happening, this is a new step for humans. And I hope before I pass to another dimension that it will finally be announced what is a huge, penetrating relationship between Homo sapiens and sapien.
centuries on planet Earth. Some of the stone blocks are over 100 tons. The ancient blocks are carved with incredible precision.
It's an amazing piece of engineering that is beyond its time.
But the origins and purpose of Pumapunku remain completely unknown.
Mainstream archaeology says that this site is 1,500 years old, but anyone you talk to in that community will tell you it is much, much older.
Could new advancements in technology finally help to solve a centuries-old puzzle and offer proof of alien intervention on Earth?
The locals say it was not us who made this platform, it was the gods. The gods descended from the sky.
There is a doorway in the universe. Beyond it is the promise of truth. It demands we question everything we have ever been taught. The evidence is all around us. The future is right before our eyes. We are not alone. We have never been alone. The Inca Empire, Peru, 1549. High in the Andes Mountains, Spanish explorer Pedro Cieza de Leon is searching for the Inca capital of Cuyasuyo. Just south of Lake Titicaca, at an elevation of nearly 13,000 feet, he comes upon extraordinary ruins covering roughly 2.5 square miles. It is the ancient settlement of Tiwanaku. De Leon spends many months investigating the site and writes in his chronicles, the Tiwanaku contains impressive stone walls, idols of human figures, and great doorways. He also writes about an area south of the main archaeological site called Pumapunku, or Gate of the Puma. It features stone blocks so enormous he does not understand how they could be moved by humans. And they are carved with a precision that, according to De Leon, could not be accomplished with the tools available to the Inca. Pedro Cieza de Leon says that the local population, which was Inca, told him that this place was not built by the Incas, but it was built hundreds of years before. If the Inca themselves have said that it was not the Inca, well then who were the pre-Incas? And there we are confronted with a gigantic question mark. What the giant blocks formed is completely unknown, and nearly 5 centuries after its discovery by De Leon, Pumapunku remains as mysterious as ever.
It's out in this really open, high plains. Most of the stones in Pumapunku are huge. The biggest is 130 tons. There's another one that's 85 tons. Even the small ones are multi-ton. So these are huge.
The platform Litica is in the center of Pumapunku, and it's in fact a foundation. So it consists of enormous slabs of red sandstone that were brought from a quarry 8 miles to the west, over 2 mountain ranges. So how that was accomplished, I have no idea.
Another really fascinating aspect of the Pumapunku site is the distribution of these blocks. Some of them are still upright in the position that they were originally constructed in. Most of them are strewn about. It looks like you're in a child's playroom and blocks have just been knocked over from some sort of a structure that was built.
It looks like it's being destroyed by a kind of tsunami or something. It's got mud piled up everywhere, giant stones sticking out of it at crazy angles. It remains unknown whether the structures of Pumapunku were destroyed by a cataclysm or if the construction project was simply abandoned before it was finished. But the roughly 150 megalithic blocks we found at the site today reveal that the builders possessed astounding stoneworking abilities.
Pumapunku has these megalithic blocks that are perfectly cut. That all of their angles are completely right angles. There's these ones in particular called H blocks that look like a big capital H. They have kind of faded lines going in where they carved the same shape in a couple of different layers, deeper and deeper into the stone. And its precision is really mind-boggling.
There are grooves that are cut at perfect 90-degree angles. It looks like they were so precise that they were done with modern-day milling machine tools. There's stones there too that have a lot of drill holes and saw cuts and things like that in them. It's an amazing piece of engineering that is beyond its time. Predominantly, we have two types of stone at Pumapunku, and that is red sandstone and gray andesite. They have found tools made of copper and of iron and bronze at Pumapunku, and with those tools, you can absolutely cut the sandstone. However, you cannot cut the gray andesite blocks with bronze or with copper or with iron. What's interesting too is that the stone blocks that we find at Pumapunku, the surface is as if you're touching glass. It is perfection. So to me, it's possible that our ancestors figured out a way to vitrify stone. And we have evidence here of some type of a heat tool.
In 1903, Arthur Poznański, an Austrian engineer, explorer, and amateur archaeologist, traveled to Pumapunku, which by that time was located in western Bolivia. Poznański began the most thorough study of the site ever conducted.
Ngon. Đó kia nào, tao vừa kêu ạ. Ok, thank you.